Hey everyone, welcome to my new video. So holidays are finally over and it's time to get back to grinding regular uploading schedule. This video will be a guide for PvE Enhancement Shaman, which I promised much earlier, but I was still trying to test a few different setups so I could see which one is the best option. And for you that are here for PvP, I'm going to be dropping PvP guide in 1 or 2 days with all the updates and everything since the beginning, so stay tuned for that. And before we jump into this video, I'm gonna ask you to please subscribe if you're not subscribed, because it will help me so much and it doesn't cost you anything except one click, and 90% of my viewers are not subscribed, so by just clicking subscribe would mean a world to me. So by saying that, let's jump straight into the video. So as usual in my guides, we are going to start up with talents. So these talents are mainly focused on Wind Fury / Storm Strike, and the talents are pretty much same as in PvP. So in the first row, only in the best option currently is the Forceful Winds, followed by the Storm Flurry in the second row, which is also only in the best option. Third one is optional as usual, but in PvE I mostly use the Spirit Wolf, because if you are having to kite some bosses and you're getting damage in that time, your speed and damage reduction will be increased by 20%, which is much more helpful than the Earth Shield. In the fourth row, Elemental Assault is the best option currently, following with the Storm Fury and Forceful Winds. As I mentioned, Hailstorm used to be good before, but after its nerf it's not really good anymore, and Fire Nova is just bad, like it didn't enhance any much. So fifth row is optional as well, same as the third, and it always depends on what fight you are in. So mostly I'm using the Nature's Guardian, because that helps me a lot to survive some difficult moments. But in fights like Artificer or Hungering and some other fights that we need to run away from boss quickly, I'm using Windrush Totem to help my raid teammates. And Fair Lunge could be useful at some bosses, for example like Generals, because you can easily carry the enemy orbs to Prince Renatal with higher mobility. The sixth row there is only one and the best option, that is Sundering, and it's pretty much good, best for the raids and mythic pluses as well, as it used to be in BFA. And the last row is the best and the most beast thing is the Ascendance, which is the main part of the burst. So for raids it's the best and the only option, and for mythic pluses you can swap to Elemental Spirits, because with their cooldown reduction you can use them much more often. So at the end of dungeon their damage is somewhere similar. It always depends on that RNG of them. So in mythic pluses I mostly run Ascendance, but sometimes I go with the Elemental Spirits, and yeah, that's it pretty much about the talents. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is stat priority. It's pretty much similar as it used to be. The main stat as usual is haste, and it's followed by critical strike and versatility, which are the same now. So whichever you go in combination with haste from those two, it's gonna be a good. In my case I'm going with the haste and versatility because I'm playing a lot of PvP beside that, so it's a kind of win-win situation for me, because from any type of content I just need the same two stats to get, so it's kind of much easier to gear that way. So about the Enchants and Gems, it's quite simple. For the cloak we are using the Fortified Avoidance, which give you 20 stamina and 30 avoidance, and in my opinion that's the best one for PvE. On the chest there is an only option, and it is Eternal Skirmish. For the hands there is only a Strength Enchant, which is for platers, and so in that case I'm using the Shadowlands Gathering to gather up the herbs, mining and things like that much quicker. But we have the Boots Agility, which Boots Enchant, which strength users don't have, and it is called the Eternal Agility, and the best enchant actually gives 15 agility, but it's so much expensive on my server, so I'm just going with this much cheaper, and I'm just sacrificing 5 agility, like it's not a big deal. And for the rings, there's a tenet of haste, which gives you haste obviously. And best enchant for the weapons are Celestial Guidance and Lightless Force. And for the gems, just go with haste gems, and that's it pretty much. So about consumables, food and stuff, the best flask currently is Spectral Flask of Power, which increases your primary stat by 70 for 1 hour, or in my case for 2 hours, because I'm an alchemist, and that's a very good profession for earning gold and for PvE. Best potion currently is Potion of Spectral Agility, which gives you 1900 agility for 25 seconds, which is kinda changed unlike the BFA and other expansions, because its cooldown is now 5 minutes, so either you can use it at start and the end of fight, if the fight is around 5 minutes, or either you should save it for some burn phase. It always depends on what boss you are right now, but on most fights I use one at the beginning and one at the end, and near the end of fight, of course. And the best food, if you don't have a feast in raid, of course, would be the Tenebrous Crown Roast Aspic, which increase your haste by 30 for 1 hour. So yeah, that's it pretty much about consumables. So about the which trinkets are the best, there is a quite talk, because in Shadowlands we got so many different trinkets from the dungeons and from raids as well. So the best option to see which trinket will fit you best is to check bloodmallet.com, and there you can pretty much put your class, put your spec, and sim it and see which trinket would be best for you. So currently they are saying that the Dreadfire Vessel is the best trinket, which drops from Denatrius from raid, but I don't really agree with that, because it deals like I don't know, 5 to 10k damage, and its cooldown is 1 minute and a half. And for that time I believe that these two that I'm using for haste would improve my damage much more. So currently, in my opinion, the best trinkets are Dark Moon Deck Veracity and Overcharged Anima Battery, which both provides you tons of haste and base agility. So pretty much my burst is so insane, and during the normal fight that lasts like a few minutes, you can use both of them up to 2 or 3 times, which is very good. And I don't know, the best option for trinkets is to check Blood Mallet and you see by yourself, but in my opinion these two are currently the best. So speaking of legendaries, as I mentioned at the start, following with the talents, that I'm going to focus on Wind Fury and Stormstrike thing. The best legendary currently is the legendary of Doom Winds, which says that dropping Wind Fury totem grants you 100% chance to gain Wind Fury weapon, and increases Wind Fury weapon damage by 25% for 12 seconds, and it occurs once every minute. So it's very good legendary, which pretty much gives you a good burst every minute, and you can easily combine it with Overcharged Anima Battery and Dark Moon Veracity, so you can actually make a very good damage in a raid. There is quite different options that I was trying to test, like going with this bracer that says consuming 5 stacks of Millstone weapon will yourself the cooldown of Storm Strike and cause your next Storm Strike to deal 15% increased damage, but in PvE it didn't show that good as Doom Winds. I was still doing the better DPS with the Doom Winds, so for now I'm just gonna wait so we can wear 2 legendaries, and this will be the second main legendary probably. So yeah, that's pretty much, just go for a Doom Winds and make it on a head slot, because that's the best option currently and you ain't gonna make any mistake. So we have come to a moment of speaking about covenants, conduits and soulbite. So as all of you already know, the best covenant for Enhancement Shaman is the Ventir, and it's just best for all 3 types of content: the raids, mythic pluses and the PvP. The Chain Harvest is a very good stuff that deals good amount of damage even for single target and EOE, and it also heals your allies, which can help you in mythic pluses and in raids in some dangerous situations so you can survive. And Door of Shadow is pretty good addition for mobility. Like, it's nothing very good, but it does help a lot. I've been helped by that in many situations. But the most important thing of Enter is actually the soulbind and conduits. So we were lucky again that we gained 2 in 1, which is the best soulbind for PvE and PvP is Nadia the Mistblade. So for PvE, currently you should go by the left side pretty much, ending up to familiar predicaments. So speaking of potency conduit, currently best one is Unruly Winds, which says Wind Fury weapon has 24% to trigger a third attack, and it drops in the other side, and it's very easy to get, and there is a high chance of getting it because Blizzard increased that. If you don't have that conduit by any case, you should go for a focused lighting as a second, magma fist as a third, and chill to the core as a fourth, or lavish harvest. But seriously, you should have Unruly Winds because it's by far the best one of these, and it's very easy to get. For the finesse conduits, best one for PvE that I found is this Thunderous Paw, which says the Ghost Wolf increase your movement speed by additional 16% for the first 3 seconds and may occur only once every 60 seconds, which helps you, as I used to mention earlier, in the mobility situation in raids or dungeon, which will increase your speed even more and you can easily avoid some stuff. And best one for endurance, I mean, it's not really best, all 3 are very good, but mostly I like to use the Astral Protection, which reduces my reincarnation by 4.5 minutes, and it gives me Astral Shift after I rest. So with that I have much more self-rest for the raids and dungeons in some dangerous situation, and if I'm, for example, standing in dead in a pool of something that boss dropped, and if I use reincarnation I'm gonna be dead instantly. With this conduit, Astral Shift will activate and you can actually survive that and get some heal. Refreshing Waters is also good because the healing surge is 20% more effective on yourself, so that can be useful as well. I would mostly suggest it for the mythic pluses, but this one is mainly for PvP, and Vital Accretion says that the Earth Elemental increases your maximum health by 24%, which also can be good in some dangerous situation. You're going to pop your Earth Elemental, it's gonna hit the target for a little bit and increase your health, which will kind of make you more tanky and you can take more damage without dying. But as I said, mostly I use the Astral Protection, and that is pretty much. After I get the Renown rank 25, I'm gonna be putting the Focused Lighting in that, so yeah, those 2 are best, and Renown 30, Familiar Predicaments, that's the best option for a PvE. So the final thing of this guide is rotation, and the question that most of my viewers had. So I was kinda thinking, because we have a lot of global cooldowns to activate before we actually start fighting. So of course, before the fight starts, make sure to apply the Lightning Shield, following Wind Fury weapon and Flame Tongue weapon, and make sure to refresh it every time you can, because you shouldn't play without that, because it's one of your main sources of DPS. So pretty much Heroism has a global cooldown, Feral Spirits, Ascendance, Wind Fury Totem, and to activate that you can lose up to 5 seconds at the beginning of rotation. So the best thing that I possibly could imagine to make this is, like, when you're starting the boss from far away, you're going to start with the Flame Shock, followed by the Spirit Wolves, and then using the Heroism, followed by Ascendance, and I made a macro that activates my Trinket Overcharged Anima Battery, and it pop it up in the same time with Wind Fury, because Trinkets actually don't have a global cooldown. So the macro is simple, just slash cast Wind Fury Totem, slash use Overcharged Anima Battery, or any other trinket if you care. If you don't have this one, you can put in macro Dark Moon Deck Veracity, but I'm using this one always at the opener, and 20 seconds later I'm using Veracity. So yeah, that's kinda my opener. From far away, throw a flame shock followed by spirit wolves, then use heroism, or if there is any other class in your raid that can use heroism, then you should let them use, so you can spare one global cooldown and make your damage better. It's the best if rest the shamans are in raid, so they ain't gonna use anything when they use heroism, so they should use it mostly, but if there's no one, then that's the order. So Flame Shock, Feral Spirits, Heroism, Ascendance, and make sure to use Ascendance near the target, because when you activate that, it gives you it drops a splash damage, which deals quite decent amount of damage as well. And of course, make sure to pop the Wind Fury Totem and the Trinket at the same time, so you can save actually one global cooldown instead of going first for Wind Fury Totem, then going to the bottom of your Trinket. So yeah, that's the opener. Fuck, this Doom seems to be killing me. I'm just gonna switch to the other side. I actually made a mistake there. So anyway, the next one, like when you're fighting the boss, of course you should watch for your Wind Fury debuff, and as you can see it's up there, Doom Winds, which can be activated once every minute, so you should always pay attention to that, and whenever you can use it, of course if that's a phase of attacking boss. So make sure to always have your Flame Shock refreshed, and for example if there is two targets, you can easily keep one Flame Shock at the other target as well. So the main button that you're gonna use is a Storm Strike, of course with the Chain Harvest and Sundering. Yeah, I'm just gonna redo the start. So pretty much Flame Shock, Feral Spirits, Heroism, Bam Ascendance, but I don't have it, Trinket and Wind Fury Totem, and after that you can use the Chain Harvest, because at that beginning it's gonna pump most damage. After that you can use Sundering and then start focusing on your Storm Strikes. When Storm Strike is off cooldown, make sure to use your Lava Lash. If they both are off cooldowns, next priority would be a Frost Shock, but you're gonna use it only if your Flame Shock is their target, because you should never drop a Flame Shock. So when you have a free spell, you should use a Frost Shock. If there is a Flame Shock is about to expire, like right now, you should refresh it. And if you have everything on cooldown and you have 5 Millstorm stack, then you are going to use the Lightning Bolt, because that's the smallest source of damage. I mean that, and a Frost Shock is smaller source of damage, so you just swap between them. Like right now I have nothing, okay, I'm gonna use that. Okay, I have Frost Shock, I'm gonna use it now. Lava Lash, Storm Strike, using Millstorms again, Frost Shock again. Going for a Storm Strike, using Millstorm, refreshing my Flame Shock, going Sundering again, stuff like that. So yeah, again I'm gonna repeat the openers. So go with a Flame Shock, follow with Feral Spirits, follow with Heroism, then Ascendance, then Wind Fury Totem and your Trinket. If you have 5 Millstorm stacks, then use your Chain Harvest. If you don't, then use one Storm Strike and you're going to have 5 Millstorm stacks quick, and you're gonna use that Chain Harvest there, followed by Sundering, and then just pop the regular rotation. So main one is Storm Strike, followed by Lava Lash. Never let Flame Shock expire, so if you have nothing to use your Frost Shock. If you have 5 Millstorm stacks, use your Lightning Bolt. And that's it pretty much for the single target rotation. For EOE rotation, like, it's nothing much harder. You're just gonna always have to put Crash Lightning whenever you have, and its cooldown is only 8 seconds, so once it's down on those few targets, whichever spell you use, like Storm Strike or Lava Lash, it's going to hit those multiple targets. So if you can, put the Flame Shock on as much as them as you can, and if you have nothing to use, then use the Chain Lightning. So instead of Lightning Bolt, you're using Chain Lightning with 5 Millstorm stacks, and that's it pretty much. So as I said, always for EOE, refresh your Crash Lightning and spam the Storm Strike and Lava Lash. Spread your Flame Shock in meantime on whichever target you can, depends on how many of them are, and when you have 5 Millstorm, just use the Chain Lightning. So yeah, that's it pretty much about rotation. So by saying all of that, we have come to an end of guide. I really hope that I covered everything, because for a PvE guide there is actually a lot of stuff to cover, unlike the PvP. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. As usual, I'm always answering. Like, I don't have a single comment that I didn't answer, and I'm gonna keep doing that. Again, please subscribe if you found this helpful, and if you like my videos. In 1 or 2 days I'm gonna be dropping the PvP guide as well, and bunch more content that I planned since the holidays are over. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and see you guys in the next.